Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin from Big Cat Rescue. In Big Cat Rescue's news, you can go to bigcatrescue.org/news. We post everything we can find about exotic cats here. And all you have to do is click on the headline or click on the image to take you directly to that story. So this headline says, you need to put this amazing lion conservation safari on your bucket list. And that was from Forbes. So you can find out more about that. Seeing bobcats, Illinois' population of them has grown. I think we read about that last time too, so this is probably another article on the same thing. OC Zoo expands its paw print with new big cat exhibit. $9 million mammal cages. Can you imagine if that money was actually being spent to protect them in the wild? Speaking of protecting cats in the wild, the Canadian lynx protection deal sealed by the U.S. and environmentalists. Got to protect those babies. We've been trying since the 90s, and it's been on again, off again for protecting Canada lynx. And the things that usually cause them to lose protection are people wanting to log or do things in their environment that is detrimental to them. And so those big businesses have always won out over them. So I'm really hoping that this time the laws will stand to protect these animals and their habitat. And then I was really happy to see Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge celebrating 30 years. So I don't know what month they started, but this is our 30th year as well. We started in November, and so they are celebrating their 30th anniversary here in April. And they're hosting an in-person event that includes vendors, magic, music, and food trucks. And we had talked about at our last staff meeting whether or not we could open up for a one-day event. We used to do the Wildcat Walkabout on our birthday. Our birthday is November the 4th. And we couldn't do that during COVID. And we couldn't do that in the year after COVID. And so here we are 2 years after COVID, and we're wondering, is it possible this year? And so at our staff meeting, we said that because we lost so much of our infrastructure in the way that we do our tours and everything because of the changes that COVID hit us with, that we didn't know whether or not we would have enough of our volunteers on site. Last time we did a walkabout, I think we had about 500 guests, and I believe we had something like 80 of our volunteers and their family members. So not their kids, but like if a woman works here, she'd bring her husband, and they would all be out there to make sure that people got their questions answered and to make sure people didn't like climb over the barricades or try to do anything stupid that would hurt themselves or the cats, and that they didn't, throw rocks or anything like that. And so anytime you're open to the public, you're protecting the animals more than you're protecting the people and all of the work that you have to do. But at any rate, we were wondering, can we do that this year? And so I just went to our workplace site, which is where all of us gather to talk about everything about the sanctuary. And we've had 37 people say that they would be willing to sign up to be the eyes and ears and security here at the sanctuary. And of course, we always have to hire the police just in case somebody comes in drunk or something that we don't catch. But if we have 37 people, say 40 people, and they all bring a spouse, okay, that gives us 80 people again. So now the question is, how many people can we invite to the sanctuary? And how can we make sure that we're not inviting people who stupidly believe the narrative that they saw in Tiger King and just want to come here and harass our people and be ignorant? I won't even say what they are. So I don't know how many people that is, but I think, and we were also talking about, should the price be very high to make sure that those kind of people don't come here? Because usually those are the most ignorant of our society that would watch a TV show and think they knew something. But I don't know that price is the issue so much as maybe catering to the people who have been supporters of ours before the pandemic. Those are people who know us, they know all about us, they know that the Tiger King narrative was false, and they're people who really want to and deserve to be able to see the animals in person. Assuming, of course, COVID is not a threat at that period of time, or that at least masking or something can protect the cats during a I don't know, a 3-hour event. So we're thinking about it. And if you are a former donor of Big Cat Rescue, be sure that you are on our mailing list and that you are set to get notifications from us. And so you can make sure at bigcatrescue.org/join that you are part of the mail list currently and getting mail from us. And I think probably what we'll do is go to that list and look for people who were already supporters, already financial supporters of Big Cat Rescue, or supporters in some other way, like our camera operators from Explore, people that have really shown a commitment to the cats. And then once we know for sure how many of our people we can get to do that, we'll send out an email to everybody who's on that list and ask them, we'll probably do it in a couple of stages. One, to see how many people there are. My guess is from our donor list, it's going to fill every slot that we will have available to have people visit. But it'll give us some, I need to take the temperature and see what's going on out there. And then we need to really start planning, because planning for these things takes forever. And we have a huge event coming up next Tuesday, and that's Give Day. And that's our biggest fundraiser of the year. The walkabout in the past had always been, all of the money from that had gone to conservation funding. So things that we do, funding projects in the wild, protecting animals, wildcats in the wild. And so I don't know whether or not that will be the case this year, but for Tuesday, Give Day is what helps us make it through the year. So we've already sent our first email to everybody on our mailing list saying, hey, Give Day's here, and we've got a $50,000 matching grant. So people who donate now, or the first ones who donate up to that $50,000, will be matched dollar for dollar, which is really cool. It's like giving twice as much as you were able to give. And then all day on Tuesday, it is going to be it's going to be so much fun. We are going to be doing a live feeding tour. We're going to be doing live tours throughout the day. These will all be on Facebook, maybe some on YouTube, but usually they're on Facebook. And you'll see enrichment being handed out to the cats that was especially made for them. And it's just going to be a whole day of celebrating and being able to talk with you guys virtually, even though we can't talk with you in person. And then after that, we can put our focus on, all right, what can we do in November about an in-person event? So that's what we're working on there, and I'll get back to the news. Bobcat found on a barge in Perryville. So at first, these people were trying to get the cat off the barge, and the Fish and Wildlife Department just said, leave it alone. The cat's probably just enjoying the weather. And these barges are often how rats are taken from one place to another and how diseases are introduced from one place to another. So I'm just thrilled. I think every barge ought to have its own resident bobcat that takes care of that rat problem, and I think we'd be a healthier society as a result. It was really sad to read about this tiger cub that was found dead in Chor Bahuli. And this Mashpee Lodge, I've never heard about it before, and it said it's celebrating 10 years through pioneering ocelot rewilding. And yet, when I read the article, it sounds like they're just about to release the first ocelots that are collared. So maybe they've been releasing ocelots that weren't collared, and it just read weird. But at any rate, that would be really nice to be able to go to a lodge and see ocelots in the wild where they belong instead of in cages. So that's something to check out. And for coordinator reports, I don't know why, but I'm not having coordinators reporting. So here it is, April 30th, and I have one from Afton on April 27th. And the one before it was Cat on April 26th, and nothing since then. So just from what I know of that's going on at the sanctuary, it's rained. I'm so happy that it has rained. And boy, did we need it. It was so dry. And so everybody is enjoying, well, all of the plants and the ducks are enjoying the rain. And of course, the day that it started to rain was while we were moving King Tut. And it seems like there's this ongoing joke here at the sanctuary that anytime you want to move a cat or need to move a cat, it's going to rain. And sure enough, he was doing really poorly. Dr. Justin was coming in to see him, and we all thought that it was the end of the line for Tut and that we were going to have to euthanize him because of his thyroid issue just getting worse. And so we went out to catch him, and of course it started raining as soon as we did. And we brought him inside, and his blood work was just so weird. And Dr. Justin wanted to try one more thing. So we're trying that one more thing. And he's eating a little bit better yesterday and today. And if he continues to improve, then I'm glad we tried this one more thing. And at least he's not acting like he's suffering. So my concern was that he'd just be starving himself to death if we didn't intervene. But he's eating, and so he's eating not a lot, but he's eating. And King Tut has always had real issues when it comes to eating. Really fussy. He's a Savannah cat. And oh my God, are they fussy. And so they offer him just everything that you can think of, and he gets offered that food several times a day. And of course, he's got us all operant trained to provide him whatever he so desires. Yeah, they're all kings around here. The name is fitting, King Tut. So I'll keep you up to date on that as things happen, and I'll give you this report from Afton from the 27th saying, Cat started the day with AM meds while Rebecca and I went out and did lockouts. Then Nisha and Bree fed the middle cats, and Rebecca and I teamed up to make sure the perimeter, interior, and lakeside big cats got fed. Nisha, Cat, Fred, Rebecca, Mel, and Bree cleaned the cats, and everyone's teamwork to accomplish that was much appreciated. I started food prep, and then after lunch, Mel and Bree joined me. Fred double-checked while the three of us cleaned and consolidated. Nisha and Cat took care of a few tasks in rehab while we made the cats breakfast. Then Fred, Mel, and Bree made sure the enrichment and popsicle cats got all their goodies. We ended up the day picking up the PVC pipes from the heating pads and doing some last-minute maintenance to where Cricket Serval will be moved to. So she's since been moved. The Servals are all going out to the lakeside cages side by side so they can all see each other, interact with each other at a distance, and watch the birds and ducks on the lake. Since birds are a big part of their diet, I thought they might really enjoy all of the activity out there on the lake. And if they get up on their platforms, which they do, they can probably see the fish, because that lake is so clear, man. You can see to the bottom of it. Where the hydrilla is not growing, you can see to the bottom. Thank you, everyone, for coming in, and for those who stayed all day. It was a pleasure spending my morning with you, Rebecca. And let's see, I had something else I wanted to tell you about. Kahira and Birdie are bobcats that we collared with the Florida Wildlife Commission, and they have been released to track how they do out in the wild. Part of it is to determine how it is that cats are catching this FLM, this neurological disease. And other parts of it are just out of curiosity, like what do they do? What do they eat? Are they really doing well, or are they having trouble? I mean, we just don't know. So we know things anecdotally, like a lot of cats are dying from this FLM, but what we don't know is how healthy the rest of the population is. So hopefully we'll gather some information. I wish these things had cameras on them. Oh my gosh, that technology just has to be right around the corner to have something that they could wear and show us everything that they see and do. Wouldn't that be amazing? There is so much that I think we can do in the future with technology to learn about these cats and to experience them being who they are. And all of those are things that will disrupt the entire zoo industry and the whole practice of holding cats captive. Speaking of captive cats, I got a really nice report on the Culpeper and Merriweather Circus. We've been sending out a lot of alerts to people in those states where the circuses have been showing up or scheduled to go. And one of the reports I just got back, even though they are primarily a tiger and lion circus, was that at their last show, even though they were traveling with those cats, they only did a bird show. And I'm really hoping that that's because the people that we contacted said, no big cats. This is not something people want to see anymore. So I'm really hoping that that will become a thing of the past. And thank you to everybody who responded to our alerts, everybody who protests circuses that use wild cats, all of you who are reaching out to your members of Congress to support the Big Cat Public Safety Act. Mwah! I love you guys. Stay cool, cats. Mwah!